Hello, you beautiful souls, and welcome back. If you are listening to the podcast version of this episode, did you know that I'm also now recording them as YouTube videos? Did you know that we have a YouTube account? And if you're watching this on YouTube, hi, thank you for being here. Please subscribe. A little bit goes a long way to help little creators like us. Today, we are talking all things New Earth. The New Earth is a huge buzzword in the spiritual community, and it is one that I truly try to use with intention because I have spent the last 3 years building a New Earth organization. 3 years ago, for those of you who don't know my story, the universe downloaded this word into my brain. It called me and I answered, and it gave me this one word. I was 6 months pregnant at the time, and that word was enlightenedhood. And that word just felt so, it truly explained what I was going through at the time at 6 months pregnant. My pregnancy really made me start to question so much. It ripped my soul wide open. I was suffering from prenatal depression, and I just couldn't grasp why so many things, why we had this terrible shallow rhetoric around pregnancy when it felt like the most divine, sacred thing that you can do to bring another soul earth side. And it just sent me down this path to where I am now. But I knew as I continued to follow this call of enlightenedhood that what I was building, the world wasn't ready for yet. And to where House of Enlightenedhood is now, I have had that vision and I've been holding it for 3 years. But at the time, I didn't know what the new earth was. I was kind of just at the beginning of my spiritual reawakening and doing the work. But all I knew that in trying to put myself out there in the spiritual community as a healer or a thought leader, in trying to follow everyone else's blueprints, and maybe I'll become a coach, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that, nothing felt right. My body, there was so much resistance in my body. And originally, obviously, I thought, which is also true, that, oh, there's so much fear and I'm not worthy. And what if I'm not good enough? And what will people think? And obviously, there were so many fears and deep roots of that type of conditioning and self-limiting beliefs that I had to work through. But once I started to work through them, it still became very apparent that what I was creating was for this new paradigm of spirituality, which I think I would like to equate to the new earth. To me, the new earth is a new paradigm of spirituality and truly a new way of being, because it is our wholeness, our divine self and our human self as one without separation. The new earth is just being in all that we are. So it's not really spirituality. It's just a new way of existence. But the way that we get there is through the spiritual work and the spiritual tools. So I'm going to be sharing 6 things that I believe are key values in the new earth. And this comes from 3 years of having almost 100 conversations on this podcast, of listening, researching, seeing what other people are doing, and then also my own intuition and channeling that, as you know, has just been blossoming in the last 2 years. So the first thing of what the new earth means to me, which is very much everything that I just explained to you, is that it is a place where we are done waiting for permission slips. Right now, in our current paradigm, there's kind of a system, a conveyor belt, a ladder to climb, so to speak. But so many of us are getting these calls from the universe to create completely new ways of doing things, completely new blueprints. And not only that, but we now exist in a world where if you want to write a book, if you want your own TV show, if you want your own community center, if you want all of these things, there are ways to create it yourself. We no longer have to wait to be discovered on Instagram, for someone to declare us worthy to build these things we want. And that's what the new earth is truly beckoning from us, is for us to step up and say, I'm going to be the one to create it. Because I'll be honest with you, for a while, once I started to understand this term of the new earth and learning more about ascension and the 5D, I was like, oh, so there's going to come a time when the world's going to implode, and those of us who are on the spiritual path are going to magically ascend into higher states of consciousness, and we're going to step through the doors of Narnia, and everything is going to be beautiful and lush in this new oasis of the earth. And I think it was last summer when I had the rude awakening, or the harsh reality, should I say, that no, if I want the new earth to come, I kind of have to build it. And that's when I truly put all of the work and love and intention to putting those last pieces into House of Enlightenedhood to make sure it was truly its own entity, separate from this current paradigm of spirituality, and that bridge for us to step into new earth organizations. And I'll also have to say that for those of you who are getting that call to create something in the new earth that no one has created before, you are so brave, and it is so hard out there, especially when we want to serve the collective. We want to be abundant in our gifts. We want to be seen. We want to be worthy. And then there's all these people telling us, this is how you have to do it to be successful. This, you need to do this, and this. These are the shoulds. These are how many followers you have to have. These are all of the things. And it's so easy to feel like we are never going to accomplish anything because we have this vision that is completely outside of all of those boxes. And I just want to remind you that that's the magic of the new earth, is that it's limitless. There's infinite potential. In the new earth, we are no longer waiting for permission slips. So we are claiming it as our own and creating it. If you see it, there is a way to create it. And I urge you to stop listening to what everyone else says, because if it is something that is so deeply within your heart and it is calling you and you know that you have to fulfill this mission no matter what, that is how I have been with House of Enlightenedhood. It's just, I know that I have to keep on going. I know it's all I can think about is all I can do. And I just know that I had to keep trudging forward. That is the new earth calling you. Trust the whispers, trust the calls. And if you're new here, now you have friends who are here to build the new earth with you. Which leads me into number 2. And 2 weeks ago on this podcast, we talked about community, the importance of community on our spiritual path. So I just want to give you some highlights from that of what I believe the new earth is, because the new earth is community-based organizations that focus on the health of the community as a whole. Like I said in that episode, community is also a huge buzzword right now, and it is a very important tool for businesses to be able to thrive in this current paradigm. And that is all well and good, but it can get a little sketchy when community is solely being used as a marketing tool and not a safe space for healing and gathering. So the new earth honors community, honors the vitality of the community, honors the accountability of community, and in doing that, allows every single member in that community to be equal, to be seen, to be witnessed, to be loved, and to feel safe. Right now, there are huge paywalls on some communities. And again, I always want to reiterate that this is never me saying that we shouldn't be abundant in our gifts or what we have to offer to the collective. What I'm saying is, when we create these paywalls, it only allows spiritual wisdom, tools, and community accessible to people of specific races and income, and leaves out people. In the new earth, We only rise if we all rise together. So we need more accessible spaces, safe spaces, truly rich communities in order to help support us all in this building of the new earth. So, number 3 of the new earth, and this is a big one, is the decolonization of spirituality. This is a huge, huge, huge area, and I'm only going to touch upon it briefly because I'm not an expert. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the decolonization of spirituality, I really urge you to listen to the interview I did with Nina Purewal. And she shares 4 Sanskrit words that we are mispronouncing in this westernized, capitalistic version of spirituality. And that's truly just the tip of the iceberg. So I really urge you, if you're being called by the new earth, to start the decolonization work. There is so much wisdom and tools that have been appropriated and commercialized. And it's up to us as keepers of the new earth to be conscious of that, to be compassionate of that, and return this wisdom to the lineages and give credit where credit is due to the lineages. It's really easy on social media to get caught up in the echo chamber of wisdom. You see something, you repost it, but this decolonization is really inviting us to take a step back to the wisdom that we hold and holding it as sacred and truly knowing where this wisdom is coming from and making sure at the end of the day that we are always being respectful and conscious. And if you don't know where to start, perhaps start with the modalities and the schools of thought that you are involved with. So if you're into yoga, perhaps learn more about the history of yoga, the decolonized, de-westernized version of yoga. What types of yoga teachers are you following? Are you only following skinny, white yoga teachers that are all about flexibility and poses? If so, I really urge you to open your horizon to the history and the lineages of these practices. Another example might be, are you an energy healer? Did you know that the correct pronunciation for these energy wheels in our bodies are actually chakras and not chakras? Having the knowledge and the wisdom and the respect for these types of practices will allow us to build the new earth with love and compassion and respect for all beings on this earth, for all teachings on this earth. So the next value of the new earth is the decommodification of spirituality. So right now, the wellness and spiritual industry is worth billions of dollars. But let me ask you this. If you have a crystal collection, do you know where your crystals have come from? Do you know if they were ethically sourced from the earth? It is so easy right now for any business to hop on the woo-woo bandwagon and begin to sell these things that we see on Instagram as being aesthetically pleasing, like crystals and sound bowls. But are you being truly aware of where these goods are coming from, and have they been made with intention? And on top of that, just the idea that because this current paradigm of spirituality is so deeply rooted in capitalism, it thrives on the idea that we need things. We need to buy things. We need to purchase things to be worthy, to be spiritual, to have this true connection to ourselves, when really, at the end of the day, it all comes back down to our connection to ourselves. So when we build the new earth, are we supporting our local businesses? Are we supporting things that are made and harvested and built with intention? Are we supporting the artisans that truly are pouring their heart and their love into these products that they love so much? So I urge you in the new earth, I know we all love Amazon and it's so easy to get things to our door, but how can we create more sovereignty within our community and our spiritual communities to be able to support the artisans that are truly creating and building and crafting and harvesting with intention? Wow, these all just transition so nicely. I didn't plan it this way, which leads me to the next one of unconditional love. And that seems so simple that the new earth is unconditional love. But let me explain and unpack. If any of you know Mateus Stefano, I think that's how you say his name, he said something on one of his shows of Gaia of the minute that we think that we are separate from someone else, that is a condition, and that is not unconditional love. So unconditional love is understanding the fact that we are all one. We are not separate from each other. We are not separate from the animals, the plants, Gaia. We are not separate from the stars. And how do we truly act with intention with this idea of unity? That's a lot of times why they call 5D unity consciousness, because it's this idea that we are all one. We are just fractals of source. So it takes true love and compassion that starts within us first, that then we extend outwardly to the world, because the world is just a reflection of us. So when we can be able to access that deep well of unconditional love in our hearts and truly cultivate that self-love so that then we can pour that into others, that is the true foundation of the new earth, is love. As I say in the podcast intro, lots of love. But it's true, and it seems so simple, but the more that we can act through love, the more that we create supportive spaces, the more that we create with intention, the more that we create with really pure intentions. I think it was the episode with Billy Lee Myers Jr. where we were joking about how no one goes on the spiritual path, does all this healing, truly looks within to find love, and then says, you know what? I think I'm going to make $1 billion corporation that sucks the earth dry and treats people like shit and takes advantage of resources. When we are coming home to ourselves, when we are coming home to our hearts, when we are accessing true, pure, unconditional love, the only way that we can then respond to the world is through love. So the new earth is responding to our world with love. How can we fix our education system with love? How can we put more love and intention into our food and our water? How can we put more love and intention into sustainability in the way that we treat Mother Earth? How can we pour more love into our communities to truly be able to support every single member of our community? The new earth is all about acting with love and intention. And so lastly, the new earth. The last value that I want to share with you about the new earth is this idea of our lineages. We have lost touch with this idea of our lineages, and many of us on this path understand the idea of ancestral karma and ancestral healing in the ways that our childhood. And are we truly looking back to where we came from, to our true roots, to our ancestors? But then also in doing that, are we taking accountability for this work for the future generations to come? That's what we're truly doing. Those of us who are parents, our children chose us because they knew what earth they were stepping into. This generation of our children are so fucking powerful and so close to their soul, and they knew that we were the portal to the new earth. They knew that in choosing us, doing this healing work on this path, that they are coming to earth and in the new earth, in a world that is completely different. So I truly urge you to see yourself as not only a keeper of the new earth, but a keeper of the past, because you're healing your lineages, you're ending these cycles of self-limiting beliefs, narcissism, abuse, trauma. But you're also transmuting them and alchemizing them and then pouring that into your building and your co-creation of the new earth. How fucking powerful is that? That is so powerful. So if you forget your why, think of it for your children, for your lineages, for the children if you don't have children yet, because Children are so pure, and they remind us of the good and the light in the world. So with all of that being said, if you haven't already seen the very exciting news, and I've been crying about this so much for the past the past week, we are hosting our first ever virtual summit here at House of Enlightenedhood called Remember Who the Fuck You Are, because that is how we build the new earth, by remembering who the fuck we are. We are light beings capable of transmuting and healing and acting through love and intention. So this is a 6-day virtual summit starting on March 20th, the spring equinox here in the Northern Hemisphere, and it will run until Friday, March 25th. There will be one event per day, all starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're working through the day or have things going on, we're hoping that the nightly time will allow us to all to be able to gather for 6 days. So just to give you a short rundown, because this lineup is amazing, and I am co-creating this event with the members of our Light Cooperative. So for those of you who don't know, in October of 2021, House of Enlightenedhood became a cooperative-led organization. So we have a cooperative of healers and light workers, and we gather to co-create, to collaborate, to heal together, to storytell, and put on events like this, and also use the free platform as a way to share our wisdom and what we are putting forth into the new earth. So the lineup, starting on the spring equinox, March 20th at 8 p.m., I will be hosting the first workshop called The 3 Pillars of the New Earth. And now this is separate from everything that we just discussed today. These are the 3 core pillars that you can begin to incorporate into your personal practices, into the way that you serve the collective, whether personally or professionally with your business. And then we are going to be doing a guided meditation to attune us all together and attune to the frequency of the new earth. Then on Monday, Sam and Ellen of We Are All Daughters are hosting a workshop called The Sacred Magic of Mushrooms. And this is for anyone really looking to create a relationship, a sacred relationship with mushrooms, whether you're interested in microdosing or macrodosing, or if you haven't heard about it at all. This is really a great time to learn more about the immense power of the mushroom, and specifically psilocybin. And then they will be guiding you on a meditation into the mycelium network, which is all of the fibers from the fungi that connect us below the crust of Mother Earth, which is, I'm so excited for that. And then on Tuesday, my sister Farah and I, of Sisters of Sirius and the Agency of Healers, we will be hosting a workshop on how to activate your intuitive channel. How do you trust this fluid stream of consciousness coming through? How do you develop your intuitive gifts? And then we will be guiding you through an automatic writing meditation so that you can truly begin to activate that channel and trust and discern. Then on Wednesday, the amazing seer and portal Kelly Walsh of the Divine Hive and I are co-hosting a class on remembering Lemuria. And I am so excited for this because Lemuria is coming up for so many people, and it plays such a role in the new earth. And we have been channeling like crazy all of this information on Lemuria, and we are going to be doing breath work, and then we are going to be reattuning the water in your body to the frequency of Lemuria so that we can help you remember your Lemurian roots. Because chances are, if you're a light worker on the planet right now, going into this transition of the new earth, you had a lifetime in Lemuria. And then on Thursday, the amazing Mari Vega will be hosting a class on integrating psychological, spiritual, and womanly intuition. So this is foundational rituals to honor your cyclical nature, your divine feminine, your sacral. And then on Friday, we will be closing off the event with a closing ceremony, sound bath, and distance Reiki with Sam and Ellen again, just to receive and seal all of the transmissions that we received during our time together. This summit is taking place within a sacred space within our free platform at House of Enlightenedhood, and the cost for the 6 days plus all the meditations and attunements will be $144 for the 6 days. And we have scholarships available because, like I said, accessibility is such an important part of the new earth, and I never want financial restrictions to stand in the way of spiritual wisdom and tools. So if you'd like to attend but are facing financial restrictions, please reach out to us and let us know. But I will put the link to get your tickets in the description of this episode, and you can always find them at houseofenlightenedhood.com or on our Instagram at Enlightenedhood. And I really hope you'll join us because I can already feel the energy from this. And I have been crying because this has been a dream of mine for so long, to have events like this to just celebrate our humanity and also our souls. And it truly feels like a homecoming because all of us who are hosting these events and workshops are stepping into new chapters in the way that we're serving the collective, and to just do it in a way that is so full of light and so full of love and so full of intention. You truly do not want to miss it. So remember who the fuck you are. A 6-day summit for the new earth, March 20th through the 25th. Get your tickets. It is going to be amazing. And as always, thank you so much for being here, for listening. I'm so grateful that this is my life and this is the way that I get to show up and just be and sit down and talk to all of you. And I am sending you so much love and so much light. And we'll talk soon.